The strongest incentive actually has already been given in Cancun, which is precisely the signal that we're moving at least to a below 2 degree, but very soon to a 1.5 degree. That already tells business we're going toward low carbon economies. So that's the incentive, that's the vision, and those who get in first will actually reap the best benefits. In terms of the technology mechanism, what the technology mechanism seeks to do is to actually enable the transfer of technology, the development, actually also research and development, the development of technology, and the transfer and deployment of technologies across the world.
And what sort of time scale are you looking at? If you look 5 years down the line, what would you hope to have achieved with the technology mechanism? The
technology mechanism is planned under the Cancun agreements to be operational next year in 2012. I see no reason why that should not be the case. And the Technology Executive Committee, the policy arm, would be scheduled then to meet at least a couple of times next year to begin establishing policies. And the CTCN, the network that belongs there, I would see that that should also begin to be established. That is not a one-time deal. That actually is a gradual process of bringing all the different stakeholders, private and governmental stakeholders, around the table, and that will be a gradual process that will grow over time.
And in terms of the economy and developing economies during this time of economic crisis, how do you make climate change important for world leaders when they have domestic audiences who are worried about the price of their food or just being able to live their basic lives? How do you make climate change relevant for those leaders?
Well, those leaders are also affected by all of the natural disasters that we have had around the world. So unfortunately, those natural disasters are really wake-up calls that countries are continually getting and will, in fact, increase in their intensity and in their frequency. So I don't think that we need to remind leaders. All they have to do is look at the losses that are already being incurred, both socially and economically, through natural disasters. Furthermore, Cancun proved that countries are taking this very seriously. Countries are making extraordinary investments, certainly in Cancun, but even throughout this year, to make sure that the web of institutional support that they envisioned in Cancun is actually being put in place. And they have been making very serious efforts throughout this year to tackle the question of the Kyoto Protocol and the mitigation pledges. From what I see is that governments continue to take this very seriously. If anything at all, they're taking it even more seriously every year because the evidence is staring them in the face.
That said, in countries like the UK, polls suggest that less people are interested or concerned about climate change than perhaps 2 years ago. What do you think that, and perhaps what we've recently seen in the US, some Republican presidential debates, what do you think that tells us about the state of the climate change debate at the moment?
Well, I think the Republican Party in the United States is quite a interesting case. I wouldn't even want to compare them with anything else. In the UK, I disagree. If there is a government that is responding to pressure from the public and being very avant-garde about its engagement with climate, it is precisely the UK. So we have been very appreciative and quite admiring of the leadership displayed by the UK government, as with many other European governments, as with China, as in fact with most countries around the world, the United States being a sad exception to that rule. But sooner or later, they will catch up with physics.